Here on the channel we deal with various trivia questions, and we have another one tonight. Should be simple to answer if you're over the age of 40 like me, but kind of difficult if you're under 35. Who is the player that replaced Tony Esposito as the number one goalie for Chicago Blackhawks? Do you want a hint? Well, he was drafted by two leagues. Basically ended up started as a Vancouver Canuck and Winnipeg Jet draft pick in the late rounds. Born in Fort Frances, Ontario, and was a youth star at the Quebec International Pee Wee Hockey Tournament for a team from Winnipeg. Okay, I'm going to leave you off the hook. Of course, it's a guy with the $1 million helmet, Murray Bannerman. Now, he did spend the majority of his career with the Blackhawks, though he also played briefly for Canucks, who had selected him in the 77 NHL Amateur Draft. Like I said before, he first came to major prominence by playing in the 1969 Quebec International Pee Wee Hockey Tournament for the minor hockey team from his Winnipeg region. First came to major prominence on the junior level with the St. James Canadians of the MJHL over 2 seasons. He then graduated to the Winnipeg clubs of the WCHL in 74 and 75, then with the Assiniboine Park Monarchs of the MJHL in 76 and the Victoria Cougars that year. He finally found a final home in Victoria in 77, played 71 games in regular season and playoffs, and of course that was his draft year. Now the Jets were hoping he would sign with them and be a hometown hero for them, but he decided to take the chance with Vancouver by playing with Fort Wayne for 44 games in the 78 season. He also played with Vancouver in one game that year for one period. Now, where Bannerman came to major prominence was his excellent play with the New Brunswick Hawks, one of the most popular AHL teams of the late 70s, early 80s. He put in 108 games in the regular season in 2 campaigns in 79 and 80, with 54 wins, 34 losses, and 10 ties in the regular season, and 11 wins, 7 losses, and 20 playoff games. Now, eventually, he made his way to Chicago in 81 with a 2-10-12 record, but after that small tryout, he eventually took over for Tony Esposito. And what was kind of ironic here, even though he only played one period for Vancouver, he's in their record books as the only goalie in Canucks history to not allow a goal. Now, eventually he took over Esposito as their number one in Chicago, and he was part of a Campbell Conference roster at the 35th National Hockey League All-Star Game in 83. Now, again, as the backup of Esposito, he finally got a chance to shine the first round 82 playoffs when he won his first 2 games on the road and powered Chicago to a series victory over the North Stars. Now, his career eventually ended after the 88 season. Now, 5'11", 185, your typical strong side left glove. He also tended goal twice in the NHL All-Star Game, and he was also the player to be named later, the infamous nickname they gave him when he came to Chicago in 78. Pitt Martin, once traded for Phil Esposito, Tony's brother, was dealt by Chicago to Vancouver in 77 as part of that deal. Now, Bannerman sits 5th on the Blackhawks all-time goalie list with 116 wins and 288 games played. He finished with a respectable 3.83 goals against average with 16,000 minutes played in Chicago, Jersey. Bannerman is also 4th on the all-time Blackhawks goalie playoff statistics list with 20 wins and 40 games played. And the Chicago Blackhawks almost knocked off the strong Edmonton Oilers in that infamous playoff series where Edmonton was going under, quest for 5 in the mid-1980s. Now, Murray currently resides and works in the Chicago area. He's still a Blackhawk fan, and he fondly recalls the intensity of the fans back in the old Chicago Stadium, which I've talked about in previous podcasts before. Orval Tessier, Jacques Lemaire, different people have told me it was a really intense barn. Now, he does periodic work for the Blackhawk Alumni Association. Now, as of 2019, he was the Vice President of Sales of the USA at Traffic Tech Incorporated, a Montreal-based transportation and logistics provider. Now, after he finished with the Blackhawks in '87, he played with the Baltimore Skipjacks and the Saginaw Hawks in the '88 campaign, and he was also named a WJHL, or Manitoba Junior Hockey League, not the Maritime Junior Hockey League, but the Manitoba Junior Hockey League top goalie instead of 73, and he made a second All-Star team that year. So 8 shutouts in the regular season, and the playoff tally, 20 and 18, 4.27 average, and of course some really rough games in the playoffs, especially against Edmonton. For 2 consecutive years in 85-86, his goals against average was well over 4.5, and he won 9 games in '85 despite a 4.79 average with an 87% save percentage. So pretty dramatic numbers anyway. But the Blackhawks were 2 players away from the Stanley Cup back in the day, and those 2 players, of course, were Gretzky and Messier, because every time they'd play Chicago, they'd fill the net. I don't know what it had to do with Bannerman's mask, but Gretzky seemed to play some of his best hockey against Chicago when the money was on the line. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's the story of Murray Bannerman. If you like what we're doing here, give us a like, comment, or subscribe. Requests are always encouraged and appreciated. And check out the history of Bannerman's mask. There's various YouTubes that talk about it. It's quite interesting. It is a top 20 NHL mask of all time, in my opinion. Have a good day. Bye.